So this is central southern England, more specifically Wiltshire, and I'm just between two villages. That there is Alton Barnes and ahead of me is Alton Priors. Now Alton Priors has a really curious church, not least because of what's inside. Just come and have a look at this. So right now you're looking at one of two trapdoors within the floorboards of this church, hiding something fascinating, something prehistoric, and they don't seem to belong here. This isn't a natural position in the landscape for them. But it gets even stranger because what's hidden here, well, there's no record of this in any kind of medieval text. There's no record from the antiquarians. What's hidden down here below is so much older than any of this. In fact, probably the newest feature here is the trapdoor itself. Okay, back to the trapdoors in a second. I won't keep you waiting too long because it gets a little bit weirder. First of all though, there's something I've always wanted to know. So making a lot of videos about all aspects of history, I'm often wondering what my actual heritage is. So I decided to find out just that. Okay, the results are in. This week's sponsor is My Heritage with a ridiculous bundle of just £27. Now with our discount code Whitewick27, you're not just getting an insane price on a DNA kit, you're also getting a 30-day free trial, free shipping and the Ancient Origins feature, plus loads more. Simple packaging, simple instructions, off it goes in the post box, and just a short while later, okay, the results are in. I've just had the email and all I've got to do is click on that link, view DNA results. Now, before I click it, what's my prediction? I've always thought my name was kind of like Scandinavian kind of origin. Let's click view DNA results. Paul, ready to explore your ethnicity. You are 42.6% English. You are 29.7% Scottish Welsh. You are 10% Breton. You are 4.7% Dutch. Nothing to do with Scandinavia whatsoever, my prediction was completely wrong. Next up we have Ancient Origins feature, and this for me was the best part. I can go through the Bronze Age, Iron Age, Roman and Middle Ages to explore my origins across different populations in history, and for me it looks like European farmer in the Bronze Age, insular Celt of Britain during the Iron Age, not so defined in the Roman era, back to Celt in the Middle Ages. Fantastic. At 27 quid, this is significantly lower than any other company I've seen. You're getting traits, ancient origins and DNA matches features all for that price. So click on the link in the description below and the pinned comment to get this amazing bundle. A few months back I visited Knowlton Church, a spectacular site where a church, long abandoned, sits in a prehistoric henge, yew trees to one side and a bunch of Bronze Age barrows close by too. To me, on the face of it, it seems pretty obvious what's going on here. The Christian religion had arrived and this was one heck of a way to state that this was a new order. The old gods had gone, Christianity was here to stay. And then we have sites like Avebury, the largest stone circle in the world, with a church and an entire village and population plonked right in the middle. Okay, so back here to Alton Priors. We need to take a closer look because we've actually got two trapdoors in this church, and yep, it's time to show you what's inside both of them.
So we're in Alton Priors outside All Saints Church, which dates originally from the 12th century, but there's evidence there was probably a Saxon church here before that.
Each of them seemingly hiding a big prehistoric stone. So let's flip these onto a map, a plan view of the church for a very specific reason I'll come to as we head outside. Okay, so let's step back outside. Because we have a much better appreciation for the landscape with a few things in mind here. Number one, the vast Wiltshire hills up there on the horizon. Around here we have a 1700-year-old yew tree.
It's split in two, but it's still very much alive and new growth appears every year. The basic, if you look at your basic history lessons, you know that actually Christianity in England wasn't really going 1,700 years old.
We also have a sacred spring just there, 100 yards away, feeds into the Avon, and really curiously we have another sarsen stone, look here, buried into the fabric of the church itself. It's almost acting like a buttress for this side of the church.
Yes, so virtually all the older houses in Alton Barnes and Alton Priors have sarsen stone footings, and there was nothing else hard to build with.
And to me that changes the narrative a little because it doesn't look like a circle, and add to that the fact that we don't seem to have had anything else here before. Absolutely no record of antiquity here whatsoever that I can find. None of the Stukelys, the Aubrys and all those sort of people that rode around Wiltshire on horseback documenting stuff. They didn't document anything here. Now this leaves us in a much more interesting place than I ever expected, because if there was something here in this place, well, you'd expect some kind of evidence of it, whether it's a surviving name, a place, a story, or some kind of shape properly in the landscape. But the evidence here for me doesn't really add up. Well, that can mean either one of two things. We either do have the faintest traces of something here we'll never make tangible, or we've been telling ourselves the complete wrong story about places like this all along. Well, that now becomes a little bit fascinating for me. Then I had a memory of a church local to me, that of Tangley. I've just left the village of Tangley, and atop the hill just here ahead of us we have Tangley Church, and its graveyard holds a few clues relevant to today's story. Okay, clue number one. Big old sarsen stone right outside the front of the church. This is clue number one of quite a few. Have a look at this. Clue number two, another sarsen stone, quite a sizable one as well. This one kind of looks upright. Looks like we've got a few interesting markings on it as well. Clue number three, just around the back here. And yep, another sarsen stone. Looks laid flat on this occasion, but again, really interesting markings all over it. But none of these, as far as I can tell and as far as I'm aware, are sort of found locally. These were moved in from somewhere else. More clues. Well, we just go into the dark. We have right here a yew tree, which I am going to suggest is at least 1500 years old. So we've got some big sarsens here. We've got a very old yew tree. Are we seeing a similar pattern again in the evidence? Perhaps is looking in our favour. I've got an idea. So I took to the internet. Now, for reasons I'm unsure of, I seem to have quite a few Facebook followers, and I asked them, how many sites of Christian worship can you lot identify which had a clear indication of sitting on top of a pagan site? And you answered in your droves. But a lot of you all seem to point towards the yew tree as absolute evidence. Come and have a look at these. And I do get it, because some of these yews are genuinely ancient, in a few cases may well predate the churches beside them by centuries. So it's really tempting to see them as survivors of something else. It's really tempting to see them as something that was sacred and here before this. Now, if you've ever wanted to see the most beautiful yew tree surrounded by all these graves, have a look at this. This is Hurstbourne Priors in Hampshire. Now, even if that is true to a degree, well, it doesn't prove necessarily what people think it actually proves. As a direct cause and effect, we could be seeing survivor bias here, for example, or in essence we could just be saying, well, there are yew trees here and there often were in churchyards, but that still doesn't give us an actual yes, that was there because this was here. So once again, we have something that looks incredibly suggestive. Just look at this scene that I'm stood in here. Graves and tombs underneath this gorgeous yew tree, probably 1500 years old. Yet for me, it just doesn't stack up as an actual concise piece of evidence. You see, this trapdoor and that one over there, well, they're new. In the 1970s, the entire floorboard here was replaced, and this trapdoor and that one were built into this.
And because they thought they were interesting and didn't want to cover them back up again, they put in these two trapdoors, which you can access today.
So all of a sudden now we've placed a recent significance on this and that sarsen stone. And that for me is where the whole question starts to move somewhat, because maybe we've been asking the wrong thing altogether. Not did the Christians deliberately build on pagan sites, but something much simpler, much harder to prove. And what if these places weren't pagan at all? In fact, they were just places that humans chose to be over and over. Just think about the places that churches actually need. Fresh water, a rootway, a visible position, a patch of settled ground where people already gather, a tree, a spring, a mound, a crossing point. So maybe these aren't just clues from a former religion, maybe they're just human clues, and perhaps, maybe the Christians didn't inherit this neat map of pagan sites that they must plonk their churches and places of worship on and destroy the pagan sites forevermore. But instead something far older, a place that already mattered, places people returned to, places that were useful, memorable, practical over a shared time. But if we are now rejecting that notion completely, well then why do so many look so intentional? Places like Knowlton and Avebury, well, they still stop you in their tracks. They don't seem like a coincidence. We have the church right inside a prehistoric henge, like a statement, the kind of place where you absolutely believe that something older was being claimed. And Avebury is the same, a church set right in the middle of the largest stone circle in Britain. And if you're trying to make a point, if you want to anchor a new belief into the heart of something ancient, well, this is exactly how you would do it. And maybe that is the trap in itself, because when we have a few places like that, the Aveburys and the Knowltons of the world, well, then it becomes very easy to see that story elsewhere, even if it doesn't actually exist. To take something here at Alton Priors or Tangley or wherever and assume they must follow the same pattern, especially when we almost practically monumentalise it, even when the evidence is far less clear. But I think actually the answer in truth is a bit messier than that. Yes, we are seeing some places chosen deliberately, but we're also seeing some places that were never abandoned at all. We're simply seeing continuity of human presence in the landscape, that same place moving on and on. I've been Paul. Don't forget to click on the My Heritage link below if you want to find out some similar results and similar things that I did today. Fascinating stuff. We'll see you this time next week.